I'll be discussing about mobile phone technologies, and let me tell you that the term mobile phone technology is interchangeably used with telecommunication. Right. You must have heard about telecommunication, but how it is different from mobile phone technology is one aspect that I will deliberate on today. And second thing, when you talk about this mobile phone, you need to know the evolution of mobile phone, the timeline of mobile phone, when it is actually originated, right? Because it is called new media. And let me tell you, when you say new media, the term itself is very vague and ambiguous because anything which is new termed as a new media. So new media also doesn't have a fixed timeline, but there are some characteristics makes a media characteristics. Some characteristics make a media new media, and those characteristics are participation, that accessibility is one, like feedback and all. Now, when you talk about this telecommunication is a term which was actually looked as something very luxurious, okay, during pre-independence era and even after independence also. So it was not something related to social utility. So if we look at the development and evolution of telecommunication in India, I'll start with this development and evolution of telecommunication in India. But before that, when it is mobile phone is a ICT basically, and ICT concept is very very old. If we say mobile phone, it is the latest ICT, Information and Communication Technology. When we say ICT, Information and Communication Technology. So UNESCO has also given a definition of ICT is that technology which can transmit, which can also store, which can process, which can display, which can create um, information, and that too in a mass scale is what ICT is all about. So ICT has also a definition. It has got numerous functions. So it has transmitting ability, processing ability, creating, storing, okay, displaying. Okay, so mobile phone is also a very important ICT, and it has got some special characteristics like that user friendly, portability is one, digital. It is digital, it is user friendly, and also it is a very multifarious system, and multifarious system of application, services, information resources, and content, which has actually which has made it highly malleable and complex. You see, so many services are available, so many nitty-gritties are available in that particular system. That's why it is called a multifarious system of diverse technologies are there. Diverse technologies, you see there are numerous apps are there. Then content facilities, so it can absorb numerous content. Information sources are also there, and that has actually made it much more complex. Okay, but the term mobile phone, it was first it was originated in 1947 in Bell's Lake, in Bell's Lake the term was first coined. Okay, in 1947 it was first coined, and if you look at the timeline of this mobile phone, briefly, very cursorily, if we look at this timeline, we get to see that in 1980s, mobile phone actually, you see, somehow got expanded. Okay, and then by 1990s, you get to see this privatization and commercialization of mobile phone. So basically, these 3 years are very, very important to know the exact timeline for the evolution of mobile phone technology. As we see, first it was innovated, that technology came in, and then we see by 1980s, we see that spread of mobile phone, proliferation of that mobile phone technology, digital technology, and by 1990s, we actually see commercialization of mobile phone technology happen. And in India also, we are a bit late when we talk about this mobile phone technology penetration and rollout of mobile technology in across the country. So we are a bit later than other developed countries. So we actually see that there is a huge disparity in terms of access and use of technologies, digital technologies like ICT, digital ICT and internet and mobile phone, and that disparities is very very prominent in terms of developed and developing countries. Okay, so here when we talk about the rollout of mobile phone in India, I have also done my study in mobile phone technology, and it is also related to like gender dynamics. So it has intersected with this gender dynamics. So Gender. So this is important. Why I'm telling you that it is important for you to understand about this technology, because see, it has a lot of pros and cons. Nowadays, we look into the constraint aspect, right? Demerits of this mobile phone. But there was a time, like 10 years back, we were actually looking for the prospect of this mobile phone, right? Looking for the prospect, what actually drives us to use mobile phone, and what are the merits of the mobile phone, what you can do with the mobile phone. Nowadays you don't look into the merit, because it has already established a base. We have achieved 100% penetration to certain, we can say, but there are gaps. We will say there are gaps in related to access, in related to skill set of the people who are using the mobile phone, and also there are gaps related to use of mobile phone technology. Okay, so we cannot even simply ignore those various gap and the indexes. So this gap has been highlighted by those very indexes, like you talk about this access is one, and then we talk about the skill set is two, and the third one is access, skill set, and also use of mobile phone, or you even see this ICT. So it is there. What is the second one? The skill set which is required, skill set, your skill, ability to operate a technology, digital technology, a mobile phone. There was a time the people find it very difficult to operate a mobile phone. 5, 7 years back, my mother didn't even know how to operate a mobile phone. Give a mobile phone, she actually suffered from that phobia kind, how to operate, what to operate. It will open something else. It will also make a call to someone else. So that kind of phobia was there, but now it has overcome. So people have overcome that particular phobia, right? So it is all because of the skill set. When you're talking about the skill set, because of the skill set which they have developed over the years, and they have actually accessed the technology, and they have started using based on the skill set. But yeah, we cannot even say that we have 100% accessibility. Now, what is actually important when we discuss about the rollout of mobile phone technologies, or is the rollout of telecommunication, penetration of telecommunication in and across the India? So, what is important is to understand the digital divide. So, you see that everything is not that rosy kind of, when you talk about the new media, okay, we can do so many work with the help of this new media, numerous function it can provide. So numerous tasks can be performed with the help of this technology. But the thing is that the rosy picture is will not sustain much. We actually see the other side of the whole phenomenon, and when you look at this other side of the whole this completion of tasks, flexibility, more information. So other side of the picture said that there is also a deficit, and deficit has been turned because of this divide. When you talk about this divide, this digital divide is there. So when you say digital divide, it's very important to understand what is digital divide now. When you actually talk about the telecommunication and rolling out of mobile phone technologies in India. So what is the digital divide? The term is being coined by Larry Irvings. Larry Irvings first coined the term, and in actually 2001, that term was popularized. In COVID. 2000. No. Sorry. Oh, 2001. Sorry. 2001. No, actually, during COVID also, it was highlighted by government. But the term was what term? During that period of time. Digital divide. Digital divide, the term. I'm talking about non-digital divide. Have you understood what term? Yes. So we talk about this digital divide uh, uh, during COVID, and now also we will be discussing about digital divide regarding the rolling out of telecommunication services in India, and especially in developing countries. So digital divide is basically refers to the inequality in access, distribution, and use of information resources between the developed and developing countries, as well as inequality among the individuals, households, and business and geographies. Okay, in terms of accessing and taking part in global information network. So, are you getting the definition? So, see, it is not limited that inequality access is not limited to developed and developed countries. Inequalities in accessing the information resources, inequalities in taking part in that information network, global information network, among the developing and developed countries. So when you actually read about some of the theories like modernization theory, this is a part of development communication. You will also be reading about this center and periphery state, the relation between the core and the periphery state. So then you will actually understand that inequalities in excess in terms of the, you see, telecommunication. And when you talk about this inequalities in excess, we'll get to see that this excess is inequalities is so very prominent that you see 23 rich countries, 23 countries which inhabit only 15% of world population have got 62% of mobile phone, and whereas 5.7 billion population for 5.7 billion population in developing countries, there are only 1.7% of mobile phone. So that was the ratio of inequality. Okay, so and also apart from this, there is also an aspect called revenue which generated from this telecommunication. So revenue that is generated from telecommunication is always higher in developed countries. So uh, in Japan and the USA, that revenue constitutes 77% of total revenue, which earned from the production of telecommunication related goods, like production of mobile that hardware, software. Okay, and also not even telecommunication goods, ICT related goods. Okay, so that if you look at this revenue, so revenue which actually come from this telecommunication and also from production of this ICT are much more bigger in developed countries than in developing countries. And in developing countries, this revenue don't even comprise 2.7 percent. It cannot even fulfill that much amount. So you see there is a disparity in terms of access, in terms of installation of telecommunication facilities, in terms of installation of even ICT services. Okay, and these disparities can be termed as a digital divide. Digital divide between north and the south. You see, north, when you talk about these developed countries, they're not, right? They're developed countries, they're not. They're rich in resources, but poor in raw materials, extract the raw material from the countries, and then actually they use it and finished products are being sent and export to the developing countries. Okay, and we are completely dependent on the import from the developed countries. Import from the developed countries. Now you see that was the scenario. Okay, digital divide, and there is also a person who actually thought of mitigating the digital divide, and he thought of meeting the gap of excess related to digital divide during you see during 1984. So it is not new. So when you talk about digital divide and try to, although that term was very popular during this time, but you see that inequality in terms of access and information flow was already been there, and it has been studied. It has been studied by, you see, McBride Commission. You'll get to understand later. So you will also get to read about this McBride Commission report that studied the inequality in flow of information flow of communication between developed and developing countries. So developed countries will always try to create a picture of developing countries, and that picture is also floated across the developing countries. That they are highly oriented, they are rooted in poverty, like in the grip of poverty, illiteracy, and everything. That picture is actually created by developed countries. But the thing is that this is also true. But at the same time, any kind of success stories are not celebrated much in these developed countries. And most of the time, we are also quite dependent on even technology from the developed countries. So that has actually created a kind of inequality. And we do not depend much on the indigenous resources. Now you see what happened during 1984. So when you talk about 1984, what happened? first there is a change in government ministry. Like Rajiv Gandhi government came and there is a sort in importance of this telecommunication as well as you see this internet services. Okay, so he was also a very tax savvy prime minister. So he has actually reorganized the existing post and telegraph department, and he has he has named it as the Department of Telecommunication under Ministry of Information and Communication. Okay, so DOT first, that was Department of Post and Telegraph. So that department was reorganized, and then what happened? Two more important organizations, or you say corporation, was established. One is MTNL. MTNL, you know what is MTNL? MTNL Mahanagar Telephone Nigam Limited, and then BSNL.
विदेश संचार निगम लिमिटेड
Bharat
Sanchar.
Sanchar. Videsh.
Videsh.
BSNL. BSNL. So okay, these were the two corporations that came up in 1986. Okay, so that came up. MTNL was looking for some of the lucrative like telecommunication related services across the metros, Delhi and Mumbai, not Calcutta. That BSNL was supposed to spread the telecommunication services internationally. Right. So you actually see that is one development, and then CDOT. CDOT was there. That is the Center for Development of Telematics. That CDOT came up. That CDOT was founded in 1984. And what Rajiv Gandhi did, he invited Sam Pitroda. He was actually a person, Orissa-born person, who founded a corporation that is called, I think this is Wellscom. Okay, switching. Yeah, Wellscom switching. Wellscom switching was founded by Sam Pitroda in 1974. So he was basically US expatriate. So and that was acquired by Rockwell Foundation. Rockwell Foundation. So after that, he's switching. He actually that organization makes switches, but he was then employee of the Rockwell Foundation. But he studied that inequality of information flow among the developed and developing countries, and then he found that in developing countries are characterized by the dust, then you see humidity, then also perennial electricity cut. So there has to be a different indigenous system which could accompany the telecommunication related needs of the people. Okay, which could actually fulfill the telecommunication related needs. And that comes from local manufacturer, indigenous resources. So that telecommunication system for Asian countries, developing other countries like Middle East also and developing, like also in the second tier of developed countries and even in African countries. So we get to see these countries, African countries, Asian countries are characterized by the same kind of climatic conditions, and he looked for a solution for making an indigenous, that's what telecommunication system. So he was invited, and he was going to become the head of CDOT. So he was the head of CDOT, and he actually that CDOT, that Center for Development of Telematics, also made you see that electronic switches and digital exchange, automatic exchange, DAE, digital automatic exchange. Some switches they were made. Okay, so you see that is it has actually a prominent role in development of telecommunication. The CDOT, Center for Development of Telecommunication. So telematics has a role in development of telecommunication in India. And meanwhile, what actually Sampitrada did, he organized, he mobilized all the young graduates, hostile from IIT and also regional colleges, and kept them in luxurious hotel, and also recruited them in making switches, those electronic digital automatic switches, and giving them higher payment. Okay, so in that way, this created like job for those newly passed out, yeah, IT job. for IITians that way. Yeah.
From Wellscom, what did it exactly do?
So they made the switching. That is the switching. Wellscom switching. Company's name was Wellscom switching. That was like meant for making the switches for this digital switches. Okay. This so it was later acquired by another foundation when he was simply survived as Petroda was survived as an employee. So then he was being called by Rajiv Gandhi. He was
Ma'am, what is a
became the
switch?
so these are some of the switches of this telecom. You don't have to learn more about it. So this is there in this automatic, digital automatic exchanges.
So it's a kind
that
of
is
code.
also that is code. You might also say not code exactly. This is also this huge number of switch. That is actually you see. There
No,
are,
means function to a switch.
For the information.
no, that is actually say this. The digital automatic exchange. This is there. So they actually switching company. So you will get better idea about it if you Google YouTube what does this, because rather than unverified, if I speak something which is unverified, it's always better if you actually check it. What kind of switching they usually with. Okay. So that is one thing. So this is something which is technical also. And they actually made the switching, and switches were all repaired by, and even Ratulta can tell you, more love related, like what kind of switches, because he was basically, Petroda was a graduate in electronic engineering. Okay, so, and he did it from Chicago University. Um, so that is basically to pass the traffic from one gateway to another gateway. That is the switch. So pass the traffic of that, like first there are only voice, no, that electromagnetic signals from one to other network. So that was the switches there. So traffic will be passed and signal will be passed from one to other network. So that is basically called switches were developed. So then we also see that at that point of time, gradually, okay, that was the role of CDOT. Then after CDOT came up, we also see that a Telecommunication Commission was also established. Telecommunication Commission was established by San Petroda. So that commission also, you see, focused on, stressed on the need for informatization of development. So, informatization development is also one particular term. How internet and telecommunication can be used for the development of the nation. So that was the main mission, or even the priority areas of, you see that there's this telecommunication commission, and he was also made as the head of telecommunication commission, and he provided a solution to government regarding the water scarcity in villages, and that solution is supposed to be meant for around 1 lakh villages. Okay, so those villages did not have any kind of drinking water facility. So how telecommunication even can it is not it will remove that scarcity of water, and somehow it is first coordination of information, what it can be done through, coordination of information. So basically telecommunication used for coordinating this information, and he has proved it. So some rig for drilling this water were bought, and existing rigs were there, but you see these rigs can actually drill the well in 10 hours, but it takes another 10 days to replace the rig from one side to another side. So that was a problem. So 10 days, and 10 days was characterized by all bureaucratic, like wrangling and bottlenecks, because it takes time to coordinate among the bureaucrats to decide, and 1 or 2 days for replacing, or even taking the rigs from one side to other side. So with the help of telecommunication, it has actually they can have a smooth coordination of affairs, and that 10 days have been reduced to 5 days now. So within 5 days matters are sorted, and the rig can be shifted from one to other place, and build the well, and also provide safe drinking water to the villagers. In that way, so he actually he popularized the idea of informatization of development, how telecommunication can be used for development purpose. So that was first exercise by Telecommunication Commission. We have numerous instances nowadays. So that was one of this instance, and thereafter, after the death of assassination of Rajiv Gandhi, so his importance dropped down, and he left to USA. There he found another that is Waltel, another corporation, Wall Telecommunication, Waltel Corporation, that was established by him, and it was basically take up some of the project from developing countries, because his willingness, or you say motivation to work for the developing countries, has not dropped down. So he continued, and in your world you actually see he funded some of the project in developing countries. He take up the project come from these developing countries, and accordingly you see by 1999 we have government like you see. You have like the state government like Gujarat, and even you see Andhra Pradesh, they approach, there are around six government approach even for converting the existing telecom facility to internet in ICC, that is Internet Communication Center.
What did you
Okay, that is what is,
Word?
that is World Tel. Tel means telecommunication. So that is Internet Communication, or that is what ICC Center, or this is also common. It is much like Internet Kiosk or Common Service Center, and which can make multimedia services and along with conferencing, and also text messages available for the masses. So it
Basically
exists.
talking about the evolution of
So that is basically this evolution of, and then we say I'm also trying to associate it with this digital divide. Okay, because unless and until you actually understand the digital divide, it's very very difficult to understand the evolution of telecommunication. And when I will give you a question, the question are always intersecting, as you will also see. You have come across this time, so it's not a very to the point question that SSD or that. Okay, so it is related to something. Okay, in reference to something and different topic, but which is also relatable. So hence, it is important to understand digital divide also when we discuss about this rolling out of telecommunication service and mobile phone in India. Okay, basically this is the evolution part, and evolution is important in India. When you talk about the evolution of telecommunication service, it was actually characterized by, you see, this is called government bureaucratic bottlenecks and overstuffed telecommunication. That was that corporation or department, not corporation, department, government department, overstuffed in the sense that there are many people employed, but they did not have any pressure for like increasing this. Yeah, good. Fuel. So what? Any idea? So okay, so where is okay? So we talk about that the initial days of telecommunication. So when you talk about this telecommunication, it is not something very new, because first telegraph line was installed during 1851. You see, 1851, first telegraph was installed in India by British from Calcutta to this is what another trading post, some Darbar, I forgot one trading post. 21 miles telecom, that is telegraph, was actually installed. And British could
the places from where one place to another telegraph was sent. It's known as
telegraph was
trading
sent.
post.
It is related to.
No, it is known as trading post.
That is a trading post, Calcutta to F1 trading post. So that telegraph was installed. So telegraph was installed in that way. The government has a command over the law and order situation. Okay, so they can control when disappointment was concerned. So that was a trading post from Calcutta to one trading post. I forgot the name, some Darbar or Harbour, I forgot. So that was the trading post, and some 21 miles telegraph was that line, telecommunication line or telegraph was actually installed. Okay, so that is also that was first installation of telecommunication, that line through which they can even use it. That postal service could also be maintained. And then we see when you talk about this importance of telecommunication, it was actually very less, because government think that it is a luxurious item. So telephone, having a telephone is very luxurious, and it is actually meant for luxury. It is not a social necessity. So that kind of mindset actually, you see, debar government, or sort of, you see, create an obstruction among the government monopolies to think something new or innovative, or even meeting the need of the customers or consumers. So the Department of Telecommunication was not even formed. So there is a Department of Post and Telegraph was there, that was reorganized later. So just after independence, so we have the Department of Post and Telegraph, and that Post and Telegraph was overstaffed. And there is also workers union. Workers union were too busy protecting the rights of those employers, but they did not even think about this customer's need. That is one thing. And there is no pressure, as it was, services were not deregularized, or you see, there is no privatization. So as there is no privatization, they did not get any shareholders pressure, no competition, no challenges, and hence they did not even think about the customers or need of these consumers. That is one thing. And government monopoly was there. There is not even duopoly. Duopoly was started after Rajiv Gandhi, has taken tenure. Say. So that duopoly was started. That the private sector and government sector, they share some responsibilities in terms of infrastructures, and also there are different licensing policies came up for rolling out of telecommunication service across this India. For fixed service operator, there are different license, and for mobile cellular service operators, there are different licenses that were also made available. And along with those licenses, we also see that National Telecom Policy came up. National Telecom Policy, first policy came up in 1994, did not make much changes, but it actually um, um, make private operators enrolled into these telecommunications sectors. And then then another policy, NTP, the National Telecommunication Policy, that came in, NTP, in 1990. So if you look at those NTP, there are vast information. So you will also get confused. You'll actually see NTP 1990 is very, very important, because it actually talks about this consumer welfare or customer welfare. It's very, very important. So it is actually known NTP, National Telecommunication Policy, which was promulgated in 1919. They were actually talking about this customer's need of the customer, welfare of the customers. Now you see that when you talk about the welfare of the customer, what they actually need, they want a quick complaint, quick billing. They want a greater awareness about the services which are available. They want much information about the tariff, available tariff, right? So also they want to get easy response from the customer helpline. So very quick customer helpline is important first, and congestion-free network is also important. So that was all these you see customer specific you see welfare related needs were highlighted in 1999. Okay, so there is also a benchmark set for the customers and the consumer of telecommunication, that a call has been answered in 20 seconds or not. That is a benchmark for the private operators. Now you see NTP 1994 has already privatized the telecommunication service, and we also we get to see that 6 licenses were provided to private operators. They can also share infrastructure with government. So duopoly regime has started. Earlier monopoly, government monopoly was there, and after 1994 NTP policy has actually started the duopoly regime. Already we have two corporations, and across the nation we see this, there are telecom circle created. There are 21 telecom circle, 21 telecom circle created, excluding Delhi and Mumbai. Delhi, Mumbai, for Delhi and Mumbai we have MTNL looking after the telecommunication facilities, and for all other countries we also have private telecom operators, as well as Videsh Sanchar Nigam Limited was there. So after 1994, we have 1999 when we actually get to see importance of that consumer welfare and set a benchmark of success, call success rate, call drop rate, answering consumers' queries within 20 seconds or phone within 20 seconds. So that is a benchmark set for private operators. So it has created a competitions among the private operators for giving like quick service or fast service, or also first and congestion-free network is one criteria. Okay, that is one criteria. And quick billing is one criteria. Okay, and helpline, having a helpline for the customer is also a criteria. And response, quick response to any kind of difficulties customer face. And also you see that consumer protection, telecom consumer protection and grievance redressal regulation came in 2007. That is telecom, the consumer protection grievance regulation. Wait, see there is. So that came up in 2007. So months later, in order to that actually came up. Sorry, telecom. That is a consumer. This is what protection and demand regulation in 2007.
Ma'am,
For
can you use the darker marker?
what?
Can you use a darker marker?
Dark. And see, I have a black marker. It's fine. I have bought only one. Okay. It should work. Okay. So. We want to replace it. Regulation. So that is what?
Can you read that?
Telecom Consumer Protection and Grievance Redressal Regulation 2007. Grievances. Grievances. Redressal Regulation. Okay, so that came up related to consumer protection. Okay, that came up related to consumer protection. So it was highlighted NTP 1999, and then we have NTP. You see, 2012, National Telecom Policy 2012, that also came up. So you see that NTP 2012 is actually important, you see, because it has actually spread the wireless access to telecommunication. So in that way, it is important. Okay, so you see, Biden, after we talk about the wireless access to internet, Biden, what we actually experienced that there are different schemes government came up with. Okay, in order to making mobile phone accessible for even the poor community and below poverty line people, BPL people. Okay, so there is a scheme like Har Hat Mein Mobile scheme was there. Okay, this through which it tries to cover around I think 2 lakhs villages and distributing mobile phone free of cost worth a very minimal amount, 200 rupees. So people can pay 200 rupees, those people can pay 200 rupees, get a mobile phone So that is another scheme, Har Hot Mobile. And also you see, um, uh, Mobile Seva was another service. That was, this came in 2012 and 2013 actually. You see, 2012 and 2013 we get to see there are some of the services available to extend the wireless telecommunication facility. So when you talk about this wireless telecommunication facility, when we talk, we actually emphasize on wireless local loop. So this is what is wireless local loop. Okay, so this one wireless local loop is there. Our web is there, web application protocol. So web, so no, sorry, wireless application protocol. These are there. This basically it will facilitate the wireless access to telecommunication. So some local loop where also you see. WLL connection was developed. WLL connection W, we said WLL connection was developed. So after this 2012, and when we talk about this WLL connections and we talk about this wireless application protocol, so it is something which developed much before in 2013, I guess. Yeah, 2013 is the time that protocol came up, and that was the protocol for even these 3G services. So we have some protocol, for transmitting this information from one node to another node. So that is TCP/IP is also one protocol. For wireless services, we have the wireless access protocol is there, and we also see it is transmitting these services from like across this from one node to other node. So that is that was available, and then also we have that wireless local loop. That is also another concept that came up with this extending this wireless or mobile connectivity. Uh, Across the villages as well as in urban centers. And let me tell you, when we are talking about this uh, extension of this wireless communication, so it's very important to understand the disparity in terms of teledensity. Now we talk about this rail teledensity. Rail teledensity is much lower, and even teledensity in Northeast India was uh, much below than the teledensity across the India. Okay, teledensity is basically density of telecommunication services or technologies. So that is related to access or that is excess availability of telecommunication facility. So if we look at this real teledensity, it was then I think around by 2007 it was around even 12%. Now by 2020 last year I checked this real density of Assam. It came to 59, 59 point something some percent, and urban teledensity 133 something some percent, point percent. So this teledensity has extended, but you see there was a time, so this teledensity was a very important issue because of lack of you see rolling out of telecom services. Okay, so hence digital divide is very important to understand the you see proliferation of the services. Government has taken some of the initiative to make it available, mobile phone, to make mobile phone available. And you also talk about a mobile seva service. Mobile seva service was basically for smooth coordination of services among the government department, and also making some of the services, government services, closer to home, bring closer to home to citizens. And accordingly, there are services around 254 services which are made available through some of the applications. Accordingly, there are applications to 9 to 40 applications which can be downloaded by the citizens, okay, and can avail this 254 services of the government. Okay, and the services are provided by different departments of the government. Different departments means around 833 departments of the government are using this mobile seva services, and they are part of these services. They have installed this and they have also provided citizen access to the services. What citizen can do, what as a common man we can do, we can simply install those applications which are available part of mobile seva, and then we can avail the government services. So that happened in 2013 itself. So after government has taken importance or even give some significance to this extension of this wireless telecommunication. Okay. Then thereafter Har Hat Mein Mobile, that is also scheme. There are other schemes where government actually made the mobile phone and tablet available for the students as well as even rural, basically the poor people, and these are some of the freebies. So during election time, they usually provided to increase the voter arithmetic. But it is not like that government did not pay heed to, you see, this extension of telecommunication services. Some schemes are there, but the thing is that still there is a digital
Government
divide.
started only very late.
Huh?
Government, the entire
Yeah, that is one.
monopoly was there when it should
First.
have broken very early.
Sorry?
The monopoly about the
Yeah,
government.
monopoly was broken, but the thing is that services were not that available. If we look at this rolling out of services in Assam, okay, so we are 8 years delay from the rolling out of services in central India. So that 8 years delay, that is
This was
also
because
one.
of the insurgency and all that.
Yeah, that is one thing. There is also, see, when you talk
And the
about
geographical thing is also.
yeah, geographical locational disadvantage, you see insurgency band, that was one problem. And there are problems related to even, you see, in coordination among the government department.
Contract their company will
Contract, yeah. Because you see, most of the time, even the private companies, they are not that interested to roll out the services in rural areas. So they do have their own prejudices to rolling out their services. That is one thing, and their contracts are being provided to BBNL, that is also Bharat. That BBNL is there. Nigam Limited, some Nigam Limited, I forgot. So to roll out this broadband facility, so we had narrowband. Earlier we had narrowband, that is dial-up modem facilities, and which can provide data in 14 Mbps. And now in for 4G and 3G, 4G, you can get all these multimedia services at 100 Mbps. So it's first transmission of data is possible, no? And it is all because of broadband. So this, I think that is Bharat Broadband Nigam Limited. Yeah, Bharat Broadband Nigam Limited. It was also came up, and it was entrusted with the responsibility to rolling out this broadband in the northeast. Okay, as well as national optical fiber network. So that is also the NOFN, National Optical Fiber network, which can actually first transmit the data from one node to another node.
No,
So
I
that
think
is
this
possible.
one is the latest one.
It is latest one. So it is an advantage or in development over this one, copper wire. Earlier copper wire were installed. So
Optical fiber.
Is it F?
that is F. So that is what is F. Okay.
And that is N, right, ma'am?
Yeah,
National Optical.
so National Optical Fiber Network. Okay. So you get to see that BBNL, so Bharat Broadband Nigam Limited, has already installed this that optical fiber network, but there are problems regarding this perennial cut in this this that wire or telecommunication line. It's all because of the incoordination of some of the department, like you see this department of this public work department, is the PWD. Okay, that is one. And also who are handling you see this schemes like Pradhan Mantri Kam Sarak Yojana, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme.
Manrega.
Okay, Manrega is there. Okay, and also government said that if a person completed 100 days of work, he's supposed to get a mobile phone. That is also another initiative government has taken. But to what happened? Because of incoordination of activities, you see, road has been digged up and repairing that lead to cut in this fiber. That is also one issues. And most of the time, you see, for telecommunication, for setting up a mobile phone connections, base transceiver station is required. So base transceiver station, and for that land is required. So clearance
Land
usually
acquisition
comes.
is itself the big issue.
Very issue. Okay. So we also have land acquisition. That is a different thing altogether. But when you're talking about this acquisition of land for installing BETS is a very problem because local government usually don't give like that clearance. And this is for right of way permissions. Very, very difficult. That is one issue. And then we talk about this electricity cut. Okay. That is another issue. India. So that is also very perennial issue. Diesel generators are there, but for a period of time, 6 a.m. to even 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. it's actually run. So it's very difficult to even like, give power to those stations. So that is one issue. And also you see, um, because of the hilly terrain, you cannot have that um, ground based transceiver, ground based station cannot be installed. So another alternative is their rooftop tower. Rooftop tower, but it is again earthquake prone area. That is a problem. So initially, lot of hurdles were there in terms of installing this telecommunication in this northeast zone. Okay, and also hilly terrain is also one issue. So you cannot even lay this cable that smoothly, and you can take different. You see, I have actually seen that. Like I went to this Arunachal Pradesh. I got some natural scenic beauty,
Yes.
but you see.
Connectivity is very bad.
There's no network. Most of the time, network problem is there. So like, but nowadays, yeah, in Salapas, yeah, I did not have network in Salapas, but I had network till Hawamur. I had network. Bomdila also there problem in network. I guess. So sometimes I could like access, but yeah, but I could make a video call someone. But yeah, people are using mobile phone. You cannot say. But in from Salapas, there is a difficult to get any kind of like interactive video communication to staying here. That is a problem usually. Okay, so you see, that is another issue. And now also teledensity has been the biggest issue. Okay, and government also started this rolling out of telecom service in Northeast after 8 or 10 years when government started it in other part of India. So in that way also we are a bit delayed in terms of like getting the services of mobile phone. That is one issue. And now if you look at the access parameters, so this is fine. Okay, about this telecommunication, briefly I have discussed because there are more to understand. But if I start discussing about all the policies, no, so it will be like very boring. So I also don't want to tell you about this one parameters what has come. So it is not that important all the policies. I'll give you some of the policies
Yes.
if you find so useful. Then you go through the study materials. So those policy documents will be helpful to understand the rolling out of telecom services in India as well as in the Northeast. But then when you talk about the access, now you see one is evolution of telecommunication and how it has created problem related to access is important. Okay, evolution of telecommunication, it is fine, but whether telecommunication or mobile phone is still accessible? This is a question. Okay, so here we need to understand the digital divide. So when we talk about all these problem and the barriers related to frequent cut and due to road repairing and also getting permission from the locality in terms of getting the land or land titles for installing that BTS and also about frequent band. So these are some of the barriers of installing the telecommunication, and this is related to physical access barrier. So you see, when you discuss about the access, it is very, very important to understand some of the dimension of access. So access dimensions are there, which actually these are not something which device out by me. Okay, this is device out with which. So this is Wilson, Edward Wilson or Woodrow Wilson. I'll get back to you. Woodrow Wilson? Woodrow Wilson or Edward Wilson? No, not this, Edward Wilson. So Woodrow Wilson was president.
Yeah,
So Edward Wilson has actually, so that is what. So E. Wilson, we say E. Wilson. E stands for what? I think Edward Wilson. So that is E. Wilson has talked about so six aspects of this project.
Is he a biologist?
Aspect, huh?
Is he a biologist?
No.
Yes, yes. No, that is EQ.
That's what.
EO biology. EO Wilson.
What?
I just checked.
Who is a biologist?
There is a guy.
And
No,
Edward O. Wilson.
Edward Wilson.
Edward O. Wilson is E.
Edward.
Yeah.
The Edward Wilson. We know him as an Edward Wilson. Okay. So Edward Wilson mentioned about six aspects of excess. Now, when you talk about the excess is important. I'll tell you. Excess is important in terms of understanding the digital divide because digital divide is all about inequality in access. Inequality in access to telecommunication, access to internet, access to mobile phone, access to software, access to hardware, access to information resources, and access to participation in global network. So that inequality is not simply limiting having and not having a mobile phone. Let me tell you. So when you are talking about having or not having a mobile phone is related to physical access. Physical access to mobile phone. I'm having a mobile phone. I'm owning a mobile phone. So this is physically I'm owning, possessing it. Okay, so this is what is physical access. We are talking about teledensity and disparities in terms of teledensity across rural and urban regions. So that is physical access. So he he talked about six aspects of access. One is the first one is physical access. Physical access, the material access of telecommunication system, as well as availability of network, bandwidth facilities, hardware, software. So that is what is physical access. Okay, and it is also related to government policies. So you cannot have physical access or availability of telecommunication, availability of internet services without government intervention and without even intervention of private sectors. Okay, so physical access is always driven by the government intervention, government policy parameters. Okay, so it's very, very important. We talk about the physical access, so it is all about the teledensity when we talk about the telecommunication or internet density.
Even in private owned telecommunication, government interference is there.
Yeah, private bodies because you see that's what we talk about now. We cannot even talk about duopoly because public-private. When we say public-private, are equally responsible for installing the infrastructure, right? So under government total responsibility, and you actually see the kind of bureaucratic wrangling. It's very difficult to even think about the masses and the consumer. Now private players have come up. Okay, so and competition is being also assured, and it has actually loaded all the challenges earlier we faced. And now when you talk about the access, private players are equally important. Okay, so our 4G has been like Reliance has a role in like installing 4G in some. So that is one thing. We talk about the retail, that is one corporation, that is Power Grid. That's what that is a PZ, it's a Power Grid Corporation of India.
Posoko.
Huh?
Posoko.
Not POSCO. Power Grid Corporation of POSCO, no, POSCO. So this Power Grid Corporation of India is there, and then we talk about this RailTel, and they are equally important in installing the services. And regarding the innovation of some of the services, even like the Barefoot College is there, State Bank of India, they have also adopted the services. They have created banking facilities, right? So in that way, making some services available for the rural masses. And Bihar government also making that like IBR platform available for the citizens, where citizen can illiterate citizen can also um, they can access this right to information, and they can complain about any problem, like any issues, any day-to-day issues, any everyday issues to government through IVR. Okay, so these are some of the initiative government has taken to make access available, access to services available. Okay, so physical access is important. Then we talk about after physical access, what is important is financial access. Financial access, why we talk about this financial access? See, is all about affordability. Now, government has intervened in terms of making network available, broadband available, making this 4G, 3G available. Okay, cell phone is also available. There are private vendors, manufacturers are there, service providers are there. They're providing us different services with software. Okay, applications are also there. So now it is up to us to afford those services. So this financial access is very, very important. That is determining the affordability of the service. That actually determines the affordability of any service. Service is available, physical access is there, but whether you can afford to purchase it or not. So that is important. Okay. So most of the time you see here, only gender dynamics is important here. I'm not talking about the minors, and gender dynamics as well as the poor and the BPL rural family and this transformative capacity of the rural family once they own a mobile phone, purchase a mobile phone. Most of the time, women do not have that financial capacity because they contain themselves in the four wall of this household. And you see, they are always driven by these patriarchal bindings. And patriarchal bindings is also too very ingrained in the society that it influence their behavioral intention of using a mobile phone. So it's too much taboos are there, and just because they're illiterate also, they're illiterate, they do not have educations, they're susceptible to those taboos or prejudices, and they will listen to whatever they hear from any kind of informal network. So you see, it is quite prominent for women also. You say my also study is related to women, and I'm quite interested about this gender dynamics, understanding this gender dynamics, and it is important also now to make it gender focused. And even if you look at this, you see there is I remember one more thing, World Telecommunication Development Conference that came in. Let me tell you, that came in 1998 has created some agenda for telecommunication. That is created an agenda for telecommunication and making some sectoral development in telecommunication as well as gender, making gender a focus area of telecommunication. Okay, so you see, when you're talking about the gender is a focus area because they have less access to mobile phone in a household also, just because they are too much dependent. They do not have that independence, financial independence. So they're not autonomous to take any decision regarding the owning of mobile phone. Now things have changed a bit, but yeah, they are always dependent on the decision of the head of the household head, or the you see the their husband to take a mobile phone, to buy and purchase a mobile phone. Okay, so financial aspect is important. Along with financial aspect, second thing is this cognitive aspect is there, and cognitive aspect of access is equally important. Okay, when you say cognitive access is related to literacy, you say literacy. Now, digital divide is also equally connected to digital literacy. It's very, very important to understand digital divide with digital literacy. Okay, so what is digital literacy? Hmm. Operating as an audience. Yeah, knowledge, awareness about that digital technology, what motivates them to use that digital technology, be it internet, be it mobile phone. So motivation to use that technology is very, very important. Okay. So that is important. Junali ma'am has a class now.
Yes, we have a class.
Studies. Okay, we also have meeting.
From 12, actually from 11:45.
Okay. 11:45.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I should stop or what?
Stop. We can ask her.
Yeah,
Namaskar.
Ma'am has left. Okay. Simply and quickly, I'll tell you about some of the specific graduation. I'll not take the class in the second half.
Okay.
Okay, I'll not come. So when you talk about this cognitive excess, but we also had a meeting. I thought of getting a call.
No, why
Office
don't you
assistant.
ask her one?
I will not ask Junali ma'am now. Ma'am simply said like had the
I can.
Attendance by membership.
okay, it's bad. Bad, yeah. Who is about?